Hello and welcome to the Holy Hour podcast, the all-cure, bi-weekly, semi-exclusive,
bifurcated,
only
weekly,
sure, why not,
bisectional.
podcast. And Donald and Chaz, welcome.
What's up?
What's up, buddy?
What's up, guy?
Yay.
All right.
All right, now that we've all gotten to know each other, how's everyone doing out there?
Good checking in there, Chaz.
Now that we've broken the ice, we hope everybody's doing good out there. And,
Can we be friends?
but yeah, so I guess this will be coming out probably the end of August, and
Gross.
wrapping up another one. Hopefully we've all made it by that point, and
No one's gonna be alive by
No.
August, man.
no, well,
Like, we're all
I am
fucking-
surprised we've made it this long. So.
yeah.
We're all dead.
We're already dead. That's gonna be the twist ending.
Right?
We were dead the whole time, man.
The Holy Hour podcast. We were dead the whole time.
Yeah, oh. We've finally gotten goth enough, I
It's
guess.
so goth. It's so fucking
So
goth.
goth.
It's like an
But-
M. Night Shyamalan podcast.
Yeah, totally. Shamalama ding dong twist ending. But yeah, we got a very, very special episode for everyone out there. We've been really trying to find some unique avenues to go down, and this was one that kind of fell right in our lap. We figured that everyone's probably getting a little tired of a lot of things out there, but Cure fans in particular are getting a little tired of not
Let me
only
bring you my list.
yeah, exactly. Don't get me started. But if we're gonna kind of keep it on the Cure level, we figured we're all getting a little tired of not only waiting for this new Cure album to come out, if we don't want to hear the bitching anymore about the new Cure album that's not coming out, or pondering
Talking about it, bud.
why,
Yes.
or when, or what the reasoning, or if the album's even done. Is he? You know, he's tinkering with it if he's just sitting on it, you know, so who knows? Maybe he's already scrapped the whole thing, which wouldn't put it past him or
Yeah,
me.
it wouldn't surprise me either.
But,
Don't give a fuck. Really don't care. I'm not.
all right. Well,
I'm not expending any more like mental energy on it.
you just hit pause on that one until it comes out then. And, but yeah, I figured
If Taylor Swift can do it. I
yeah,
mean,
that kind of stung a little. Everybody was like,
yeah.
Taylor Swift, you know, it's like, come on. It's like, you don't have to tour for it just because the album comes out. You could still just pick up wherever, you know, you'll have time to rehearse it. You know, you'll really know the album.
yeah.
You know, it's like, you don't have to tour as soon as the album comes out. I don't know.
Dude, one of the best things that would be right now would be to like lay in bed and just listen to a really fucking depressing album.
Yeah. Especially
And
a
I
Cure
think we
album.
all need that. Yeah.
Yes, it's like, and you'd think like a band in their 60s would be glad to have any excuse not to tour an album, you know, like it would be like, sweet, we could just put out this album and not have to tour it, and it would be awesome. But not our boys. They're
Well,
sticking to their guns. But anyway, like I said, we've all bitched and moaned about this thing till Monday back again, or whatever some redneck saying would be. So we figured there's been another one. This isn't the first time. We have had an album that some might say we've been waiting at least 30 years to come out that has never come out. Some would even stretch it back to like 37 years when this was first mentioned. And that idea...
Chinese democracy.
Yeah, Chinese...
There you go, bud.
But this elusive album that we're talking about is the Robert Smith solo album that he has casually dropped quite a few times over the Cure's history in various forms. And when I said earlier that it fell into our lap, it's because there's a fellow named Nick out in Australia. If you remember from the covers episode, he was the guy that put together that first sound check recording and made a whole new song out of pieces of other Cure songs. But around that time, he also sent me a message, and to summarize what he said basically another little Cure thing that I wanted to pass on to you to pass a few minutes. For some reason, I tried to collect all the things Robert Smith has said about his solo album in one place over the years.
Jesus Christ.
It says, I guess I like a Cure project and getting on with it. And they're kind of it's the kind of thing I enjoy if somebody else did it, I suppose. And it's the Cure related thing I'd like to hear. Anyway, it's not comprehensive, but I'll paste it here. So he sent me this whole string of quotes from magazines. Most of them are cited and have a year. And I thought it would be fun to just read through all these actual direct quotes and such that Robert Smith has said in regards to this solo album, because it changes throughout this too. And
It's all fucking Spin magazine articles.
Kind of, a little everything.
It's Tiger Beat or
Summer Ticket.
Tiger Beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good list here, too. It stretches from about like 83 all the way up to the 2000s. I mean, it's funny in the way that Robert Smith, it's lovable at the right time if you're feeling it, and really frustrating at other times when you read his quotes and stuff of like how much he totally bullshits or is just talking off the top of his head, or whatever. And it's just like totally contradicts himself constantly and stuff. But I thought it'd be kind of funny. Yeah, it's really awesome.
It's one of the things I love about him. Like,
yeah,
I love to like fucking contradict myself. He's like, ha 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 ha. Like, cause it's like it like dabbles on
hypocrisy.
Yeah, like the silliness of things.
Yeah,
like whatever hypocrisy, like whatever, like just the silliness of stuff. Like,
yeah.
Like, does anything mean anything? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not. There's like, get fucking dumb. Like, say dumb shit.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like,
because it's so tough
like,
when you're in his.
You make it or you don't. And it's like, you want to bullshit and like giggle about it. Like, fuck it. It's your record. You
Yeah.
do whatever the fuck you want. Like,
yeah. And he never
like,
seems like he's coming off like he's taunting us with it or being vicious about it or deliberately. I mean, it comes off as he is legit just in talking about making music, and like some shit pans out and sometimes it doesn't, and it's just like,
what kind of bad boy are you going to be? Like Henson said.
Just
you
mean?
You going to be a
gonna
malicious?
rat ass.
Are you going to be like a rat ass bad boy? Oh, or like a fucking mean fuck? And he's not a mean. He's not a mean
or
dude.
both at the
Like,
same time.
Yeah, maybe. So I figured we'd go through it and we'll get you guys' opinions. I do apologize. There'll be a bit of, not huge passages where I'll be reading constantly, but I'll just kind of read through some of these and we'll discuss them as we go. But I guess on the top, just as far as in general, the idea of first, like even Robert Smith aside, the idea of where do you guys stand on like a band that you love and then their frontman, or I guess it could just be someone from the band goes solo. Just in general, are you usually open to hearing it, or does it depend on the band situation for you guys?
I'm not crazy about it.
No.
When Genesis broke up, I was heartbroken.
It's a lot of different projects there.
I know I have to rub your back, Chaz, when you listen to Susudio.
Yeah.
You get so upset and have to calm you down.
It hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
Some shit
yeah.
you just-
Like, I'll listen to Peter Gabriel every once in a while, but that Phil Collins stuff, man, it just
yeah.
it hurts. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, buddy.
Betrayal.
Ah.
No.
Oh, bud.
I don't. I'm not particularly a fan of it, just because it usually doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the concept of a band comes together when there's multiple people inputting, and then you can bounce shitty ideas off of people, and hopefully you get a less shitty product. But I mean, as far as like trying to think of the Pixies, and when
right,
yeah,
I've never been into like Frank Black's solo shit.
Yeah,
I fucking love the Pixies and I love the Breeders.
And he's a weird one because they're good.
I like
still.
a lot of the songs too.
When I listen to Frank Black stuff, it's like it's not like it sounds that much different, but some reason it just doesn't grab you the way the Pixies ones do. Yeah, I don't know. He's a weird one that way. Yeah.
There was this dude I never listened to. I listened to the other day at work, driving to fucking like Roanoke or some bullshit like. And there's a guy from Smog,
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very sincere voice. Like, I never knew the other band, or Smog or whatever. Like, I never listened to him. Like, I heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it was, like, really powerful. Like, I was really taken aback. Like, just to be a counterpoint to what we're talking about, like, solo records. Like,
Yeah.
'cause I don't know his other band.
Yeah.
Like, why he's even a thing. And, like, I don't know nothing about him. But, like, it was really powerful, like, driving through the mountains and listen to, like, a very sincere man, like, sing very sincere fucking songs.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just, to me, I feel like for every one positive album that comes out of, you know, somebody that tries to go solo,
Mm-hmm.
like there's like 1,000 that are just terrible.
Yeah.
They're not worth it. I mean,
Right.
like, you even got like Jay Mascis with his solo stuff.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's not, you know, it's
Well,
not.
I never got
fucking-
into it.
Yeah.
And I love
I'm-
fucking Dinosaur Jr. I fucking love them, but, like,
Yeah. I mean, if somebody says, hey, do you want to go see Scott Stapp or do you want to go see Creed? You know, I'm going to go see Creed every time, right?
Any day. If you go into it having been a fan of the band, it's a lot harder to be like, well, now you're getting a fraction of the band. Even
Yeah.
if they did write all the songs of the front man or whatever, you know, or front woman, it's like, if you go into it not knowing the band and you just hear the solo
Yeah.
album first, maybe it's not as big of a deal. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of like Bjork fans that went back and listened to the Sugar Cubes and was like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool, but I never really liked Bjork solo as much as I like the Sugar Cubes for whatever reason, you know. Just, I mean, it's drastically different, but at the same time it's not really, you know. Or, you know, I think that probably does have a lot to do with it, you know. I guess
Yeah, I was actually I was gonna mention Bjork just because I think if you're gonna do it, the band isn't as big as it's gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
and like you just break off at the right point
Yeah.
and like do your own thing. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know,
hasn't Robert Smith been doing that, like, forever?
Long. Yeah, so
right
that's
now,
probably why this
like,
never
everything's
came
like
out,
Yeah.
a fucking
you know?
solo record for him. It's like,
In a sense.
he's such a figure. Like, he's gonna do it. Like, he's been doing it. Like, I think that's why he jokes about it. He's like, I think that's why he's so laissez-faire about it.
Yeah. And some of the things
Yeah.
he lists as examples, you kind of hear what he would do if it's a solo album. You get a better perspective of that. But then at the same time, that's probably why he hasn't, because it might be just
It's gonna
so
sound like the
goofy,
fucking Top.
or it'd just be something like
Yeah.
that, you know. So you don't know. But yeah, I listed out a couple things like so when bands do tend to do that, it's usually for a couple of reasons, like one, like somebody in the band dies or the band just breaks up.
and I think it also depends on genre because
Yeah.
if Anthrax puts out an album, I'm gonna listen to it. But if Scott Ian was gonna do a solo project, I'm probably not gonna listen to it, just because it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be anything earth shattering. But like if you say to me, you know, with a Jay Mascis album, I'm gonna listen to that regardless whether, I don't know, if he's in Dinosaur Jr. or not, just because I think he can do both things very well.
Yeah.
So I trust his
That's
his
hardcore.
ability. Yeah. Unlike somebody like Scott Ian, where I'm not gonna want to listen to like a solo metal album.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And,
So,
you know-
I think there's a big difference between different types of music.
Yeah. Makes
So-
sense. Yeah, because they would have to. That's another factor. Is like you almost have to do something completely different, like
Yeah.
like Bjork did in the sense. I mean, even though it
Yeah.
wasn't completely different, but especially when she
Right.
got into it more, it was definitely different than Sugar Cube stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
because
Way
yeah,
different.
if you have, that's one of my biggest like pet peeve sides of it is that nothing worse than like when they leave, but then they just get a session musician version of the same band you had.
Yeah.
You know, the way I
Yeah.
like. As much as we
Yeah.
even mentioned 10,000 Maniacs a fefew episodes back, where it was like, you know, I really dug a lot of the 10,000 Maniacs albums, but it's like as soon as
Yeah.
she went solo, it was just kind of like, because it wasn't
Yeah.
like a band. It just totally felt like she didn't know anybody but like the drummer's name or something. You know what I mean? And it just didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't sound drastically different enough. You know, it's like you almost
Because
do
it
have
was
to,
like her solo shit. It was just like someone trying to play guitar like the dude
from 10,000.
From,
Yeah,
like, 10,000
yeah. It's
Maniacs.
like that's the worst.
I want to hear Robert Smith fucking like write like the theme to like Home Alone 3.
Yeah. Well, I guess going down that avenue.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing by yourself there, guy? Like,
Well, going down that avenue, then, as we segue into these, what are the pros and cons? Then, if Robert did have a solo album, what would be, something that you could pull that would be a positive, and what is the terrible idea? I guess,
Oh man, what time period are we talking about here?
Well, I guess.
exactly.
Well, I had listed as a pros would be that it isn't coming out now, obviously. So it would be a pro would be that it probably was from the 80s during his 80s level. Robert would be pretty rad to hear something if he was just doing any like third tier outtake or something during like Head on the Door era. That's pretty awesome. So I would love to hear that.
It would all sound like the top.
Yeah, well,
It all sound like the top.
I'll take another top right now. That sounds great. Yeah, sure, bring it up. Yeah, but
I'm good.
and yeah, and I think he is smart enough where he would do something different, as we'll see in some of these things that he mentions in these. It would be kind of like a stripped down thing, more like what Donald's always been asking for from later Cure, where it would be kind of a more, something with strings and, because he, it would make no sense for him to just put out like a full band, anything really, because it would just be like, he probably, as we saw with that curation thing, he probably would just end up getting 3/4 of the lineup anyway to come in and do the parts, Right. It would just be like the Cure, but he would just call it a Robert
It's been a
Smith.
solo act the whole time.
Yeah, so I mean,
Saying.
maybe on some level, but what do you think on
The
top
Robert
of
Smith
that?
band.
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely negatives then. I guess it would just be not as good as like a Cure thing, or what?
See, I don't know, because like if it was really good, I don't think it would. I think it would enhance his appeal or his fame. On the other hand, if it's terrible, it can just totally fuck with chemistry of the band and like so on and so forth. Like, if he ever did anything, I wouldn't want it to come out as Robert Smith. I'd want it to come out as
feel
like
dirty.
So just like as something.
Like he's
like
not David Bowie.
No,
like David Bowie's David Bowie.
Yeah,
and it's like Robert Smith. He's the fucking Cure. Like, if he just came out like, I'm Robert Smith now, like,
if something came out, it would have to be like very minimal vocals and just like a lot of like different type of like, I don't know, different types of music, or like whatever he's into at the time, I guess, which scares me. But I think if I heard something from him like back in like 1982 or 1, I think it would be just fucking like amazing. But like if I think about like 84, I'm not too as pumped as you guys sound.
And you have to wonder, like, if we are thinking back time travel wise, if there is some Magic Lost recorded Robert album, he had to have, if there was anything that good on it, he would have plucked it out and made it work as a Cure song by now. Like, it can't be that good if it's just stayed. Probably been doing that all along. That's why it never came out, is because if he has some cool song that he's written that initially doesn't feel like a Cure song, but then eventually, something like Bear probably was that, or that would come out later. And, it's just like he would eventually probably make it work as a Cure song if it's good. I can't imagine anything that would be that awesome would just be sitting, but who knows, maybe he's.
It makes me not want to listen to it if it ever came out. I probably don't think I fucking would.
I do have a feeling that he's if he actually kept the stuff, I believe it's going to be something like Prince's like cave, like after he died, where they found like albums and albums and albums worth of material that just sat on a shelf.
Little skinny tight pants.
Yeah. So with the amount of music that Prince put out over his career, which is mind-boggling, that he had all that stuff just sitting there, I have no doubt that Robert Smith has some sort of little bunker where he has.
He is kooky enough too, where he isn't the best judge of probably what the best songs are. So there could be something in there that he's just like, it wasn't that good. And it's like, what, dude? This is fucking awesome. What the hell? But so
it's like you were saying, Chaz. Like if he did put out records like solo shit, like in the like early '80s, like when he's really raw, like it would have been like that's something I would listen to versus something if you just put something out now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no. If you put
Yeah,
anything
he
out,
would-
now, I would be fuck this. Like I would still listen to it, and like the like slightest touch of being it terrible, I would be out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, if he's taken 12 years to put a Cure album out, there's no way he's putting out a solo album now. You know, it's like he's not gonna restart his solo career now. You know,
I think the only the only way I'd accept it if it came out now, if it was like recorded back in like 81 to 97 or something like that.
yeah.
Where it was just various, like,
Or-
not like a
Like
professional,
where it hits like
I'm
a
gonna
Peel
tour
session or
this out.
something.
Yeah, sort of
know?
something
Yeah.
like that.
Or
Yeah,
like
I know.
something totally just weird, like a musical score or something where it's not like pop songs, you know, or it'd just be
Yeah.
like some weird like ambient thing or something, you know.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I think
so-
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a feeling we'd have like 3 hours of pirate ships.
Yeah, exactly. It was just tripping balls moaning into a microphone or something.
What the fuck is going on?
Totally. So I guess as far as going into these things, I tried to break up this idea of a solo album into 3 sections or 3 eras of when a hell of Robert Smith's solo album would have seemed the most possible.
Would have been good. Sucks balls. Sucks way more balls.
Yeah, well, who
Are
knows?
those the
We're,
3,
we're not even critiquing
segments?
the imaginary album at this point. We're just seeing how realistic any of this ever was to happening. So, and the first one, I don't even have any interviews or quotes from, but I just nerded out a bit with the first solo era. Although it was never officially discussed, there must have been some train of thought after Pornography pre-Top when he was doing the singles for Japanese Whispers and stuff. And the idea of like,
Yeah.
do I just start doing this as a solo thing? So that must have been some kind of internal thought maybe bouncing around in his head. Cause
It was his most like solo period, I think.
yeah, and then that bleeds into the Top, which a lot of people talk about as his most solo album, or even Head on the Door
Right.
is weird in the sense that he's got this badass full band, but it's all the songs. It's the only album really where all the songs are credited to him writing. So
I love the fact that he's like contemplating going solo when Lowell's like right by his side the whole time.
oh yeah, totally. It's like I'm still
And
here.
Lowell's like, hey, remember when we were cool?
Maybe I am solo now. People think of this as our solo. He's like 2/3 of the band is still. Well, yeah, really, is it 2/3? So
Somebody just asked him that like straight up, like, do you think about the solo album that you're putting out?
yeah,
He's like, yeah, I've just been doing this by myself for so long that.
yeah. It's like,
Lowell's
oh,
what the fuck?
You're still here. So let's hear what he has to say. Let's hear what he has to say. Melody Maker, May 12th, 1987. Robert's in an interview with Melody Maker. Since there's a lot of these, I'm not going to do my fake Robert voice because it would just get really annoying by the end. So Robert says, they're just songs I've written over the years that I've always liked, but they've never seemed right for the Cure to do. Very, very simple songs. Piano, cellos, no drums. One's got a poem on it, whispered by me. So that's
Come
all
on,
I say.
I want to hear that.
Yeah, so there's
Like a fucking cello and like just stripped down, like fuck.
so,
All right, first year art student.
So the yeah.
Shit, like shit.
Poem, Robert reading. I don't know about the poem part. I'm totally on board with the piano.
I love
cellos,
that.
no drums. Because yeah, then it's different. It's kind of like what we're
I
saying.
just
if
like
you-
him singing in a fucking cello. Like, what's up?
Yeah,
like, let's
that'd
see.
be rad. And like I said, it's different. You can't. I don't think there's any Cure songs that don't have any drums, right? I'm kind of talking off the top of my head, but is there any Cure song that doesn't?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. And this was
Nah,
weird.
there's some.
So that kind of ends the idea of early solo talk. The most common era starts prior to Disintegration, and we talked about that with the Disintegration era and stuff, and that was probably the most widely printed one. We're coming off the heels of Kiss Me. He was a little freaked out by all the success and didn't know which way to throw the world a curveball by doing something different. So, as legend has it, he started just doing a solo album basically and was saying, I'm going to do this. But then the band was like, those are fucking cool songs. We're on board, man. We can't just abandon the band now after we've finally got some mainstream success. And Disintegration took shape. Eventually, they were all bringing in their demos and stuff too. And it quickly changed from a solo album. But something happened before they all signed on.
Right.
And I think that's what he's referring to in these articles. This one's Cure News number 5, May 1980.
Cure News number 5. I like Cure News number 6.
Yeah,
personally.
so I'm assuming that's some kind of
Just to
addition
make it
number.
official on the podcast.
Exactly. So this is May 88, so pre-disintegration still. Here's what Robert declares. My solo album is ready to be cut. But I'm not sure if I will go into the studio before or after the Cure stuff is done.
Which record?
This is his solo album before Disintegration. So it was always billed as he was going to do a lot of the songs that are on Disintegration on his solo album, but maybe not. And these are a whole different
Why
batch
would
of
he,
songs.
like, it was like, just make a fucking Cure record. That's what he did. It's like, don't. I feel like I feel like him talking about like making a fucking solo record is him just like fucking with the media and
well, it's like we said, he's just
like
he's just talking off the top of his head of like every musician's like, no, it'd be kind of cool if I did this. It'd be kind of cool. I'm sure he just gets bored in interviews and starts like babbling about shit. It's like it makes sense, but
like everyone's probably like, oh, Robert, when's your record coming out? And he's like, hell, and just fucks with it and just like
it's like
fucks
before
with the
Christmas,
media.
before
I could see him being like fucking with people, but at the same time, it's like you're trying not you're not able to handle the success that's coming at you with the Cure. I think the worst thing to do would be to release a solo album.
Exactly. Like now all the attention's
spotlight
on.
right on you.
Right.
Like that's like not what you want, but you're gonna get like to begin with. But like if he actually did write a whole album around that period of time, I would love to fucking hear it. Like that's. There's very few times that, like I'd be like, I want to hear that solo album. This would be one of them.
And this pretty much, not to get you all excited, but this is pretty much the most promising one. It sounds like if there ever is anything that is recorded in any form, this is it. But strangely enough, on this one too, he says it's ready to be cut. So I guess recorded at this point. He said the working titles for my solo album are A Dream of Deception. And
oh, god damn it.
Well, you'll like this one better. He says either that or Wild Mood Swings. So he said that in 1988. So but nothing will be released on record this year.
I feel nauseous. I feel sick to my stomach. Like that's
so
that's
maybe
that's your fucking solo record, Wild Mood Swings.
Well, no, it was just the title. He just said he had the title,
but
who knows? Maybe some of the
solo
songs
album was.
Wild Mood Swings. Maybe he took some of them, and like I said, some of those songs might have been.
He's got to be fucking with people. Like that whole record's a joke. Like why wouldn't everything he fucking says around that time? Why wouldn't that be a fucking joke? I don't know
if he would consider it a joke. Remember that whole joke album I made? It took 4 years to put out. It was a
George Carlin record,
real comedy record. Despite what Donald thinks, I don't think it was officially a comedy record. But,
did Carrot Top make a record?
So, moving on that stem of knowledge, we have Much Music, which I guess is like the Canadian MTV. So this must have been a video. This is 89, still I think pre-disintegration. The interviewer's name, Christopher Ward. Says, now, Robert, I've heard talk of a Robert Smith solo record. Is that still in the offing? And Robert says, yeah, I finished recording that. It's about 18 months ago now. So he recorded it a year ago, a year and a half earlier.
No, we didn't.
He goes, but it's not something that I... At the time, there were various reasons for making it. One was just because I'd got all these songs and I had them for so long and I knew that The Cure were never going to do them, and I just felt the mood to go ahead and record, so I did. And another one was that I wanted to kind of spur the group into action. It seemed like a good way of setting everybody up, thinking, oh, a solo record. It made everybody sort of jump up and say, oh, okay, let's do something with the group then. It's not.
It sounds.
It's not
it
like
sounds
a solo
very
career.
threatening.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking threatening. It's like, I'm gonna go solo if you guys don't fucking like get in line.
Get
Wow.
off the fucking
Holy
couch.
shit! I never thought about it. Like, I don't want to hear him solo.
Which totally
It's very
makes
mean.
sense.
It's really mean.
So maybe he
It's
is a
very
mean
violent.
bad boy. I don't know.
It's very controlling.
Can you imagine
like,
writing
that's
a
fucked
whole
up, man.
album on spite?
Yeah. If it's Disintegration, though, I guess it worked. Why not? Maybe the album that came out next was Disintegration, so maybe he needs to do that before every album. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that refers back to whatever he was messing with pre-Disintegration in those sessions, and sounds like he was using it to.
I really don't think I like
keep
The Cure
band
anymore,
up
bud.
there, too.
Just keep telling me about Robert Smith, man. I really don't think I like the band anymore. It sounds really mean.
There's more. Don't
Like,
worry.
why-
Like we said, he'll
would
contradict all of that in about a month here, so don't worry.
It's like,
That's
Like,
an
why
amazing
would you-
idea.
why would you use that clout?
Yeah.
Like,
I get
like
it.
that.
I get it.
You know,
in
it's
a
really
sense.
mean. It's like the dude from the Talking Heads.
Well, you don't know. Maybe they were being all wishy-washy about shit, and he's like, well, I got these songs. They're already done. You in or you out kind of thing. And then they're like, fuck, they're great. Yeah, I'm in, you know? And it's like, I totally get that. If they were all like,
Gonna go solo.
maybe
You
we
guys will be
should.
fucked then.
yes.
Mm.
I see it.
So my one dog really wants attention from me.
Uh-huh.
And the only way that he gets attention, particularly just from me, is that he'll trick the other dog by grabbing the bone, pretending he wants to play with it, so that the other dog jumps off of me and goes to play with the bone, and then he'll come in and hop up my
like,
lap.
Ooh, clever.
So he's playing mind games, and I appreciate that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see it didn't work out for Lowell at the time, because he might have been trying to motivate him.
He's like, wait,
He
what?
was
What are
right
we
the whole
doing?
time.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. That's a good metaphor. I get that.
Yeah. I really want to hear an album from this point in time.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see what else we got
Yeah.
here. Cure News number 6. So the next edition.
oh, your favorite one?
Yeah, was it 6 or are you more into 4?
69,
6 good? Oh, yeah. So this one's January 89, so still Disintegration hasn't officially come out yet, but it's,
yeah.
I
it's,
love January.
it's done and getting ready. So interviewer says, what have you been up to all year, Robert Smith? How's that album coming along? That solo album? Plans to tour this year in 89? Robert says, writing songs, drinking, getting married, reading, rehearsing, writing songs, recording. The album Disintegration is virtually complete. No plans to tour. Oh, so assuming your solo project is going ahead as planned, do you plan to use session musicians on it? He says, no. It will probably just be me, maybe a couple of guests. So that one doesn't really tell us much. All right.
What guests?
Yeah.
What guests do you think he would have on?
I don't know.
Oh, this is a whole nother road.
Yeah. Well, if they're
88.
piano, cello players, I don't know if he's getting like guest guitarist or what. What would be a...
He would have had Bowie.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe some guest vocalist and stuff. But
I think it'd be like some like.
88.
I think it'd be some jazzy like.
yeah, like people no one's heard of.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. If we're talking like knowing that it's this stripped down cello piano album, that kind of changes it all. You know, if it was some kind of weird rock record, you could almost like daydream about like
Slash.
Jay Mascis or something even on it or something. Yeah, I don't know if
Right.
that's like,
Yeah.
but or you know, even like Frank Black or something. But yeah.
Like who would have been on? Like who would have been on it?
Yeah, who knows? Like,
I'd have
You
to see a
know?
list of like what he was listening to in like 87. Like one of those like dumb like teeny bopper magazines. Like
yeah. Because he wasn't even, all the shoegaze stuff comes later, so it wasn't even like he would be into all those bands and stuff, so hard to say. So these next round comes out after Disintegration comes out. So Disintegration's out now, so this is from part 2 of NME, April 15th, 89. Interview by James Brown, not the soul singer probably, but even though about to roll The Cure out around the world, going to Budapest might be a really liberating event. Smith discusses it with a finality. He is also currently pondering what to do with that solo album he has recorded and ready to release.
No, he's not. He's absolutely fucking not.
Each time, especially like
ridiculous.
Right after Disintegration came out, he's like, wonder if I should just
just this big giant fucking record that like changed everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this whole Disintegration thing short so I can focus on this album. Yeah.
Making my solo record. It's like, no, you're not.
This is why you never listen to
this.
Can you imagine if he did like some like world music or something?
Yeah.
Like did his interpretation of what Budapest folk music is or something?
Yeah, maybe. It gets into its world phase.
That would have been the worst thing. It's like, like, what's that duo?
Hall Notes?
Simon and Garfunkel.
Never heard of them.
It's like
who? Jesus
like
and Mary Chain?
But he would all world music, like. But he would all
Tenacious D.
Yeah.
But he would all world music, like I'm just imagining like Robert Smith getting like that Graceland record.
He kind of did with the top, didn't he? That's probably the closest he would get to it. But. He continues by saying, each time I do another LP, I wonder whether it's even worth releasing or not. I could just do it at home and keep it for myself. Going back to that Prince comment, maybe he does have a whole volume of stuff. He said, I have tapes of materials I was going to do as a solo record that I have had for 2.5 years now, and it becomes more and more ridiculous as to why I should go out and do it for other people to listen to.
But he doesn't give a fuck.
So now he's saying he has more stuff that he hasn't recorded. Shortly after they're already saying that this whole thing is recorded and done, too. So he said that he has, like, well, I'm sure they're just like his home demos and stuff. They're probably not like the finished album by any means, but yeah, who knows. 89, Three Imaginary Boys. This is the weirder one where it's Simon, an interviewer, Robert and Simon from a France fanzine called Three Imaginary Boys. I kind of wonder if it's a translation thing because some of this doesn't really make sense, or they're just goofing around so much that who knows. But
I'm already bored.
All right, so bear with me on this one. I'm doing 3 voices. So. In 85, on a 12-inch... just hang in there. Just mute your phone if you must. In 85, on 12-inch version of Close to Me, you added A New Day, a song from 84. Do you have a lot of unreleased material like that sleeping in the studios? And Robert says, not a lot, not quite. Probably 6 or 7 songs. Simon says, I was thinking about a tape. When we did the first version of Primary and Robert starts singing, we did dun 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 dun. I don't know what that means.
That was perfect.
That one. And then Simon goes, Indian song. And then they laugh.
An American song or Indian song?
I don't know. Robert says, well, the reason that I never used this was because we didn't like them, so it would be very stupid. It's part of the contract that we signed with Fiction and Polydor 2 years ago.
I won't do anything dumb.
We're not going to do anything
like,
dumb.
What kind of contract is that? It's like, I won't do anything stupid, I promise. It's like, come on.
We are not allowed.
You do something dumb.
Let him finish. There's no
stupid.
period yet. We are not allowed to release any material we've recorded without their permission, unless we decide to do another Curiosity album. Then they won't get released. Most are really shit anyway, basically. It's just because we recorded them. It doesn't mean it's good. Sometimes we recorded the most dreadful rubbish. Not often, but sometimes. And then Simon says, oh yeah, Kelly Mary. And then Robert said, yeah, that one got nicked. He says, did it? And then Robert says, yeah, that's one of those titles that got nicked. That will probably get released on a fucking bootleg called The Cure Loves Disco Again.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Da-da-da-da. So then
I don't know what any of that means.
Yeah.
So many fucking words, bud.
That
Jesus.
that Indian song actually did come out because he passed it on to the band Boys Don't Cry, and they released it as I Want to Be a Cowboy.
Oh, okay. The band
What?
Boys Don't Cry.
I'm just fucking around, man.
Just fucking around.
Damn, Chaz. What the fuck?
It all comes full circle. Now it makes
How do you even know that there, bud? God damn it.
And thus Donald thinks this is real for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it might. I don't know. we'll leave it at that.
I'm literally not even here right now.
Just keep floating. There's more. Fans are still waiting for Ariel that you played once on a Kid Jensen session in '82. What happened to it? Are you going to release it? Robert says, no. It's one of those songs I did for the solo record. It doesn't get released. It's considered to be in oblivion. We never did it because it never sounded right to me. It never fit in on any album, and it never really worked because it was conceived originally with another 3 songs called The Four of Us, and it was one of those songs. Unfortunately, there's a group called The Four of Us Now, Bastards, and Lament was one of the songs too. We did that as a single.
Wow.
But Lament was one of those songs, so that did come out. The other one, he said, oh God, was called Despair, and that was the most depressing song ever. It was like a Nick Drake song, he said.
Oh.
And Ariel is on the top.
Yo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about Nick Drake and thinking about like Robert Smith's solo stuff, and it would it sound like Nick Drake?
Yeah. Well, that comes up more.
And it's like, I really fucking like Nick Drake.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, then you would love it.
That's my dude, man. It's like, would it be like that?
Yeah. Later he keeps referring to his solo album as his Nick Drake.
Like,
well, he's referring to it as a Nick Drake type solo album later. So I mean,
nah, it'd never sound like Nick Drake, dude.
Well, you and Robert can argue about that someday.
Let me float this idea by you. 87, 88, 89. Robert Smith goes on a solo album, but he gets Danny Elfman to work with him.
Ooh.
And because of his connection with Tim Burton, and he wanted him to do the soundtrack for, what was it, Edward Scissorhands?
Yeah.
I could see that working.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oingo Boingo Cure mix up.
Yeah. That could be cool.
That'd be wild.
That'd be
fucking wild.
That would be something that would be like out of left field that you kind of have to listen to.
All right, more clues. These are more clues of what the hell this would be if it does exist. It might not even exist. We don't even know, or it might be done. So this is the same article from '89. It says, you think it'll be out someday, that solo album? Robert says, probably. Now he's saying, yes, I suppose it will, but I don't know when. It's not really important, though. When I'm ready to do it and I invite the others to play on it, ha ha ha. And then he says,
what the fuck is that?
I know. It says, do you think it'll be the sign of the death of the Cure? And Robert says, that's probably why I'm not really keen to release it. And then Simon says, well, what do you mean the death of the Cure? And the interview says, because it would be the last album. And then Simon says, well, what if Robert did a solo album? Would it be the last album? And then Robert says, I don't know. The reason I was going to do them on my own is because they're simple songs and that they wouldn't be good for people to play on. There are only drums on 2 of the songs out of 10. So it would be a bit stupid. It could be a Cure album, but I don't think it would be right. So I just did them on my own. So it sounds like he's recorded it already. He says, Ariel is one of the songs that's on it, and we did that as a Cure song years ago. And there's a couple of other songs which we've demoed as Cure songs over the years, and they haven't been used. I really liked them, but they didn't work as Cure songs, so it's actually completely different. I don't think it's true it would be the death of the Cure. Boris has played on Ian McCullough's solo album, and he's contributed a lot to that. Stepping outside the group, I think it's a bit naive to think that you couldn't do anything outside of the group. I appreciate that it's probably different for me than it is for everybody else, but when I went to play with the Banshees, I didn't really worry anyone. I don't really think that this is that big of a deal, but I don't think I would release a solo album if the group was still playing, because I don't think I would appear that I was somehow limited by the group, which I'm not. In fact, the group...
Oh, what a big answer. God
yeah,
damn it.
I know. It keeps going.
Jesus.
Basically, he wraps up and says, in fact, the group has answered everything I do. That's why I enjoy being in the group. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to redo the songs anyway so Boris can play them.
It's like a Facebook post.
Yeah, I know. It's like, whoa. But so there's a lot in that, but it's totally...
There's a lot in that.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
oh
totally,
my God, what a sweetie. Like, what a fucking sweetie.
Yeah, he basically
Like,
just said the band
Thinking about
fulfilled
his
it.
boys.
Yeah. So,
Thinking about his van.
Yeah, it sounded like it was more like he had some acoustic stuff that he just did by himself.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of blossomed for a couple songs, but didn't really work out for the other ones. But
Yeah.
But he's talking about a drummer. I mean, a drummer is a drummer. Like,
yeah,
not that
he can play.
not that I'm discounting Boris. If Spinal Tap has taught us anything,
a drummer is just a drummer.
No, meaning that. Well, like
Come
he
on,
said,
watch
he said it's different. Robert can't just go plop around in a bunch of things using his voice. I mean, a different drummer
Yeah.
can play behind different shit, and we
Yeah.
even listened to that album probably a billion times before I realized it was Boris. I just knew I liked it a lot, but I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, that explains it. But drummer can just plug in.
Simon could even go play bass on whatever Kid Rock album's coming out, and nobody would even know.
Yeah.
So or even, I mean, not that nobody would care, but I don't think it would be as earth shattering as a lead singer, face of the band kind of doing it. So
Right.
I don't really get that part of the answer, but I mean, I admire the fact that he doesn't see himself as a bigger part of the band compared to like Boris, which is cool. But I don't know.
And that's pretty much the era I think that gets the most, like, something got recorded there. And even when he said cellos, that could have just been fucking really good keyboard cellos, on an album. Who knows how elaborate it got or what, So, so now we're in pre-Wish, which starts to seem a little more like the band's like in full throttle. There's no way he's just like popping out to do a solo record at this point. And that would be like something we didn't mention at the top of this episode of like, shitty when a person goes solo from a band when the band's like at the height of their mainstream success kind of thing, and that would
be
have
the
been
point
like,
in time.
like more like right after Wish, if he had just been like, all right, Robert Smith hitting the big time now. So,
Right.
But so pre-Wish though, it hasn't come out yet. August '91. Somebody's talking about. Let's see. I'll try to paraphrase a bit on this one. The solo record. What will the album be like? Because he hints again that there's a new solo album in the works. I don't know if it's a new one or the old one he's still referring to. He says mostly acoustic. Even the drum machine, which is like, how's it acoustic if it has a drum machine? But even the drum machine that's going to be used on a couple of songs will be the one that we used on The Glove. One of those big old rolling boxes. So it'll be very, very bassy. I've been trying to learn how to use certain instruments like the emulator.
Keep it raw.
That's cool.
Like, fucking keep it raw, bud.
So that'd be rad.
Like, absolutely.
It's very basic technology, but there's something in me that won't let me accept technology. I fear that if I learn how to operate a thing like the emulator, I'll forget how to be naive, how to be stupid.
That's his whole fucking life, man. That's like today with like social media.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, that's a great place to be. I want to shit all over his solo shit, but not. No.
Yeah, and this seems totally different.
Absolutely
than
not
whatever.
at all. Like no, that's his fucking like knives, like save like kind of jams, man. That's what's up.
Yeah,
That
sounds
it would be
completely
really simplistic too. Like if he did what he was gonna do, it wouldn't be over
Right.
the top, overproduced. It would just be, it would be like the first couple albums where it's not, it is what it is. It's not
just some kind of beat that's like boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, boom. Yeah.
So I'd be
love
down with something like that. But
Yeah.
like that would be the perfect time for him to do it.
And to finish that section, he says, I still have a fear of knowing too much about inanimate objects, which is good. There are 12 songs on it, he says. So this is where he gets weird, where he starts saying very specific things about these albums that don't exist. He's like, there's 12 songs on it. There's an internal sort of logic to that. I've always had this cassette on, which I put songs on it that had been originally for the Cure listening sessions. There were songs that had been worked out to their conclusion, but then I thought, well, they aren't going to work for the Cure, but we'll give it a try. And I would play them for the group, and if they hadn't passed after going around 3 times in a row, I would think it's still a good song, and I'd put it on that tape. Well, when the tape had been filled up, it had reached 12 songs, and it's the moodiest stuff I've ever done since Faith. So that's another okay.
It doesn't sound none of that sounds real.
Yeah.
So he was recording these songs
like,
on a tape and like passing it around.
I think he's saying when they're doing like their demo sessions for new Cure songs, and they had said in other things that they pass around songs that are like, what's a good song to work up as the band, and they all have their rough ideas. And if it's one that he liked and it got passed on by other band members, like where they voted it out like 3 times, he'd been kind of keeping. He'd be keeping kind of a running, like a little back, which makes sense. He's keeping it in the back of his head where he still likes that song, but the band clearly, it had been given enough of a chance, but nobody else in the band wanted to go for it, or they tried it and it didn't work. He says most of the songs are acoustic on the album, and they're going to be very simple. Few of them will have more than 3 instruments. They're mainly bass, cello, and piano, or bass, piano, and guitar. So it's like, yeah, going back to that thing. This is the same thing he was talking about before 1987. Is it the same album? Is it like this is like pre-Wish now. Like, what the fuck? Is it the same? Who knows?
It could be.
Yeah. So, let's see.
It sounds like a goofing.
So this is what the reporters summarizing the Cure's plans for the future says. There is that film Tim Pope may be directing. So I don't know if, because In Orange had already come out by this point, so I don't know what the hell they're referring to there. Maybe he was supposed to do like a musical score to The Crow 2 or something. I don't know. But if it gets the go ahead, Robert wants to do the incidental music for it. There's his acoustic Nick Drake inspired solo LP currently on hold. Several of the songs, which have been long recorded, The Four of Us, Ariel, In France, and Melancholia. And then there's that whole Lowell business. Oh,
that Lowell shit.
So this is just a reporter talking trash.
You remember Lowell?
Yeah.
It's like, he's like, yeah, of course I do. God damn.
Yeah. So. All right, so post-Wish now. So this is where it starts getting really weird. But post-Wish, I guess Wish comes out 92, so it's just come out. Smith's most personal project in recent years was the acoustic solo album, which he recorded and then abandoned in early '89. So a lot of this is just dumb reporter hype, too, you could tell. But Robert says, yeah, I had a lot of songs that didn't seem suitable for the Cure, and I didn't want us to make an acoustic Nick Drake type album. I don't think the album will ever come out now, not while the Cure is still going, but I do think there's a kind of subtlety in the group now that means we could attempt some of the songs now and do them better. The songs on my acoustic album have a kind of purity about them, and I didn't want that sullied by Lowell having anything to do with them.
Oh, snap. Shut the fuck up. You're making this up. God damn. Holy shit.
There's one more line. Even the thought that some people might conjure up his picture in their heads while they heard those songs was quite unsettling to me.
Ouch.
Jesus, what a fucking insult. What a giant fucking insult. God damn.
That
Holy
was like
shit.
Clearly 92
Holy
prime hatred era that was like, which is sad because that was like when we were in the thick of it. And I remember I've said that on the podcast where like when we were first reading all these things, it was like crazy how much they were bashing Lowell, and like interviews and stuff, like just openly, you know. It's just like, whoa. I was like,
The stuff they did behind doors is now out of the doors now.
Yeah, exactly. So, so he didn't even want to put it out because he didn't want people thinking of Lowell while hearing the songs. So.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. You're going to scrap a whole project because
He doesn't even have anything to do with it. It's like a solo
pretty
album.
amazing.
He's not even on it. Why would Why would
He's like, fuck Lowell.
Lowell was alive during the time he recorded his solo album, so he doesn't want anyone to think of. It's like he didn't even have anything to do with it.
Maybe like Lowell did some work on it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he played some drum machine or
Xylophone or something.
yeah.
Hello.
Tried his hand at cello.
I'll play the cello. Totally. Hot Press, April '92. Hot Press magazine. This is probably one of those ones you get at like Sam Goody or something. But Hot Press magazine says, "What about that solo record, Robert?" And he says, "It's done."
Hot off the presses. Hey there, mister. You want a newspaper?
I'm gonna hit him hard with this solo album.
You want to talk about the cure there, buds?
Robert says,
Extra.
Sorry.
he says, "It's done. It's been done since before disintegration. I did it to get it out of my system." And then he says, "When I stop, the cure will stop, and there will be a very good reason for that. But at the same time, I didn't want to color the Cure's history by releasing a solo album because so much attention is focused on the lyrics." So
Get over yourself there, buddy. Come on.
It's true, but the first part of that was really sweet, where he said he didn't want to cover the Cure's history with a solo album, but then he's like, "Because everyone loves my lyrics." It's like, all right.
They came to see me.
Yeah. "Can you describe it for us?" He goes, "It's really miserable. It's me and a couple acoustic guitars and cellos."
It's really invisible, like this interview.
Yeah, exactly. This is the answers are getting shorter and shorter. "Will it ever come out? If I meet an accident, it's bound to come out. I haven't really thought about it." So,
Nice.
yeah.
Not once,
Not once.
bud. Not once there, buddy.
Damn. And now, zooming forward to 96, which actually starts to be an era more after
I
this,
don't like.
guess,
I don't
but-
like 96. I don't like anything.
Yeah, well, it's weird
Right
because
now,
everybody left
96
pre-Wild Mood Swings, so it would have made sense maybe to put a solo album out around that time because it was like, Boris left, Pora left, Simon was having troubles. It was, basically just him and Perry going into it, so it's would have made sense. But the interviewer says in 96, I guess it's probably right after Wild Mood Swings came out, I guess, August 96. Whatever happened to Robert's solo album? The last thing that was heard was that it was completed around the same time as Disintegration, but was never released. Its working title was actually Wild Mood Swings, referring back to that one. This guy did his homework.
Yeah.
Did some of the songs from the solo album become part of this new Cure album? My
shit.
solo album was recorded in 1983. If it was
shit.
ever released, it will be when the Cure stopped. So now we're like, what? So the album you recorded to get the band
Come on.
to do Disintegration was recorded in 83. But there was that thing he referred to in 83, but now he's acting like that was the only solo album he did. So maybe it's just the same thing he's been working on all these years. So it was the same
Nah,
solo
he's just fucking with people. He's fucking with people.
All right. So this...
Like, he's a master craftsman.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
of just, like, fucking...
Or he's
fucking
just
with
not
people,
even sure
like-
which solo album they're referring to or which batch of songs. He probably lost track at this point too. But,
Right.
so this starts the third and last era of possible solo albums. This one sounds like it could be maybe a different sounding thing now. We're kind of closing in on 2000, so going into Bloodflowers territory now. Pulse Magazine 2000, Scott Schneider.
Oh, Pulse Magazine.
You know Scott Schneider?
Yes.
He's a big fan of Scott Schneider.
Yeah, he says Smith's plan after the Cure finishes touring for Bloodflowers is to record his long simmering solo project. So now it hasn't even been recorded, or this is a whole new thing. So Robert says, I want to do something that's not the kind of pop rock stuff we do as The Cure. He says, I may end up doing it so anonymously that no one will know that it's me. Or it might be an instrumental thing that's tied in with a film or tied in with some other project. So
And
even
he's
if...
Miley Cyrus.
or maybe not.
like,
maybe
what the fuck? Like, what was that?
This one's totally
Fuck that.
like...
It's so fucking dumb and vague.
This one sounds like his, or it might be 3 albums. I don't know. Maybe one will be a... This is totally like what we're hearing now. So,
Like, it doesn't mean a lot.
now this is like a new thing.
I don't
think,
take a lot of like what he says is like fucking for real.
I did have that thought.
It's purposely fucking ridiculous. Like and which is kind of why I like him. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like I love that fucking silliness.
These little nuggets that we cling to. We're like, oh, what is that? Wait, what? He's gonna do an instrumental soundtrack, and it's like, oh wait, that was 8 years ago. It's like shit. No, that didn't happen either. So
I could see him like releasing an album without his name attached to it, and like some like fake name attached to it, and just it's somewhere out there in the world and nobody knows about it except for him, and nobody's put the dots together.
Yeah,
it's just sitting on some record store shelf with some shitty name behind it.
Right. He's like, I'll see who finds out.
Robert Smith is Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
It's Smithy Robert. I mixed my name up. See, and it's like, well, yeah, nobody bought it because we didn't know what the hell that means.
It's like
it's been out since 1983.
Spobbert Smith or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Robert Stein, and it's just all in German. It's like German industrial.
Right before Blood Flowers is officially released, this is the last one here. Then we can sum all this madness up. There was even a time when Robert would wake up every morning and think about ending the band. He wanted to write film music. He installed a home studio and began doing just that. This is Robert's quote. At first, I wrote a rambling series of not very good Eno-esque pieces. It's very different from Cure music, which generally starts somewhere, goes somewhere, and returns to the starting point, not changing out of all the recognition within the space of one song. This stuff just kind of evolves. When the band returns from Blood Flowers tour in the fall, Smith plans to start molding these new pieces into a record. A solo record, yes. Tune-wise, it's recognizably me, but I don't want to sing on it.
Shit up.
I don't want to sing on it.
This means anything.
It doesn't rely on traditional Cure guitar, bass, drums lineup. I'm waiting to see how I feel about doing something on my own without the support structure of the Cure and what they give me.
I've watched a lot of TV and daydreamed a lot about doing a solo record.
Maybe a Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know. He says, I might feel liberated or I might really hate it, in which case I'm not going to burn any bridges.
Who fucking doesn't?
So,
I would feel liberated.
If he wanted to do film music, he would have done it already. Like, I don't think anybody's going to say no.
To put it
like,
out.
He's like, I see this movie coming out. I want to do the soundtrack to it. Like, everybody would be like, fuck yeah. And, like, even, like I said before, Tim Burton asked him already, and he didn't do it.
Should have done that there, Bob.
Yeah.
Bob Smith.
Then we have the Danny Elfman Oingo Boingo podcast instead of the Cure podcast.
I mean, he totally has the pull where if he really wanted to do it, he could totally just say, "Hey, I want to do the music for your next movie." They'd be like, "Yes," everyone would be.
Fucking the guy from the Cure, that dark motherfucker.
What kind of life is that like? Like just
I know. You
like, just, I'm gonna do it, and people are just gonna do it, take it,
Totally. They like give you like a stack of money just for pretending that you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Even,
Nope.
But you wonder how far with all of his shit of like how far does it go? You wonder if he like really talks to these people. Did he have something recorded? He doesn't seem like the kind of dude that like would sign on to do like a film score and then like not deliver
out.
it, you know, or
Right,
like record it and just not give it to him or something, you know. I feel like he probably talks himself out of it way before anything gets official, you know. So it's like
He's the type of person that doesn't like deadlines, it seems.
yeah. So I think that's probably
with a film you need a soundtrack.
yeah.
And the movie's not going to wait for your soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could see him saying no to that just because of the lack of time restraint freedom that you'd have.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think he'd have the artistic freedom to do anything he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as we've seen from Robert Smith, it's all about actually doing it and not a time frame is not a necessity for him.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That's a lot. I think that's a lot with art, is having like deadlines and shit. Like,
well, they don't have a major label breathing down their neck
Yeah.
to put out a
Right.
new album. You know, so it's all on their timetable compared to, you know, if this was like the late 80s, early 90s, you know, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
Yeah.
guess just as far as wrangling all this together, do you think then there is a finished 83 solo album and a finished pre-disintegration album, or do you think that is the same thing? Especially those two in particular. Those seem like the most like direct quote of somebody and himself saying it's done. You know, what form done, we don't know, but like, do you think there's
it's
two
like
separate ones?
It would sound like the top.
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I think that like the 83 solo one sounds like it might have, like, you know,
Merged.
Donald said, it bled into the top and also might have bled into the glove too.
Yeah.
Just of like stuff that he wanted to
Yeah.
do. I would probably have more faith in there being a unreleased 1989 album.
Yeah, it sounds like that one's the most official. Like, if he dies, that's going to be the thing that surfaces, would be like, this was the, you know, and it might even have like a couple like acoustic versions of songs that ended up being on Disintegration or something else later.
Pirate
you know,
ship.
like kind of or pirate
That's all.
ship.
That's all I can think of right now is that was part of the unreleased album, and he just like, because it doesn't sound like a Cure song at all. Out of like all the Cure songs that have ever been made,
It is a
like,
cover, yeah,
but it doesn't like sound like them whatsoever.
Yeah,
like it's just like it's like out of left field kind of sound, and I could see him going right there, but it's like, whatever.
Do you think it'll come out before, if it does surface, that or anything solo, do you think it would come out before the band's officially declared we're going on no more, or do you think it has to be we're done and then it comes out after someone's died, or they've just officially called it a day?
I think it was when someone,
Yeah, once he finally kicks the bucket, but like at the same time, it's like, who's going to be in control of his estate?
Yeah.
And if they want to release that or not, because I don't seem like, it doesn't seem like Mary's like that kind of type of person. Like, she's not a Courtney Love or you know.
no.
But I could see him even saying, "Yeah, put it all out after I'm dead. I don't care." You know, like, especially if all it means at that point is like helping his family out financially. I could see him not being like, "No, my artistic legacy." You know, I think he wouldn't give a shit. He would be fine with just letting
Like,
it all.
I've written a million fucking songs.
Yeah, he's like, put them all out after I'm dead. I don't care. But do you feel like, okay, whether the band just retires or sadly one of them passes or he goes and it does get released, then based on what we've heard, it sounds like the most creditable is this Nick Drake strings piano. Is this something you would be into hearing? I would be, yes.
I wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
Nah.
I'd listen to like one song and I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, if I listen to Two Ravens,
I don't even want to hear it now.
Okay, so you weren't sold on all this? You wouldn't be curious? All right. Well,
I would listen to it. I don't know if I'd like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what it would be, it would have to be something that was recorded back then.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think I'd be able to handle something recorded now.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't think there's any chance of anything.
That's where I'm at, man.
Even
that's
that stuff.
exactly where I'm at.
Well, yeah, like
I listen to some old shit, like
yeah. Well, even the 2000 stuff when he was talking about it, that was definitely a totally different thing where he was talking about film scores and shit.
I'm
but
gonna make a movie.
yeah, so that wasn't even this. That shit's never gonna come out. That totally reeks of like the stuff he's talking about now with the 3 albums or whatever, you know. Or it's like that's never gonna come out, or maybe after he's long gone. But we had said earlier the idea of, do you think these songs then did just merge into actual Cure songs? Kind of what that one dude was asking with Wild Mood Swings. Do you think they are all 100% kind of like songs that we haven't heard? Or do you think, because I mean, it's like we're saying during the break, was that how the fuck could you have like songs like even stuff off of Blood Flowers and then like the 13th and Mint Car? Like what type of Robert Smith song wouldn't fit somewhere in between all that? I mean, those are such huge extremes of different styles of music where it's just like you have a song like the 13th and, you know, why would he not say this doesn't feel like a Cure song? You know, if there was ever a song that doesn't feel like or Gone or something, you would think that would be one, but like there's no.
Is that one of your songs there, bud? Like, what are you keeping from us?
Yeah, what the fucking style of music could it be if it doesn't fit into something that hasn't been touched on? You know, I can't imagine that he's doing like opera singing or something, you know, where it's not like, you know, that drastically different than what a Cure song would be.
He's just like strumming a guitar in his parlor.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think
he's not doing that.
I would guess that at least some of them have eventually made it onto Cure records, you know, like.
Yeah. That's my guess, or just they're lost to history, or maybe he did like a Prince thing where he recorded just like everything that he came across his mind.
Yeah.
And, you know,
it sounded
kind of like it because he had that tape or whatever, if that's true.
Yeah.
So he did do some sort of recording and documenting of what he was doing. So who knows, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah. You think they were already used up in Cure songs or just totally abandoned? Or do you think you're not buying what?
I don't think they actually. Yeah, I don't think they actually exist.
Well, he's got to have some recording. It's not that hard to hit a record button on a.
Well, have you listened to this podcast?
Totally.
But it's like if you put. But if you put something out, like, put fucking something out, like.
Yeah, that dude put a lot out.
And that dude's done nothing but like put fucking records out.
Yeah,
like, it's all he's fucking done. And just like,
there's too much there though that for it to be total bullshit. There's no way that none of it exists. I mean, like, he wouldn't keep bringing it up from like 83 to 2000 and it's done, you know. It's like there's got to be something like on a demo form at least, you know, or it's like how fancy, again, we don't know. Maybe it was just like a fairly shitty Tascam recorder in his home, or, you know, which could be cooler really, but at the same time,
right,
maybe it was like a full-on studio. I mean, he's got a pretty elaborate studio in his house, I think, since like probably Wish era at least, you know. So
yeah, totally.
But I don't know. But all right, here's the ultimate question, maybe to wrap up with. What do you think will come out first, the new Cure album or Robert Smith's solo album? Or neither? What will we have first? I'm going with the new album. I think this is too far. There's way too much that's come up there. I still have faith in it.
Yeah, the new album's going to come out before we ever see this. I doubt it's even on very many people's minds.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll wrap up there. Right. And thanks for walking us through this. It was all very wild, shot in the dark, but again, kind of fun to examine those actual quotes straight out of the Pulse magazine, Conclusion magazine, Canoe magazine, Hot Press, RCD UK, Melody Maker, New NME. Let's see what else we got. Who cares? We got them all in there. More importantly, thanks to Nick for clipping all these together for us.
Thank you,
Nick. Assembling this madness of Robert Smith's stream of consciousness or whatever the hell you call this. But and Donald and Chaz, thanks so much for listening to me ramble on like this. So
No problem.
thank you. And
I love you all.
as we depart, we're going to send Donald back to the moon now. I think we're getting close. He's going back. All this talk of a mysterious album makes me think the new album's right around the corner. You got to go.
Come back when the record comes out. Oh
You
man.
got to get up there. We got to have you waiting,
Go
man.
back up to the moon. It's actually better than right now.
Yeah, you're not
in the
missing
world,
much.
like,
So,
Yeah, like really looking forward to going back.
well, wait. As soon as you get a release date, we're sending you back up. So you start packing now, all right?
Oh, bud.
All right.
How do you attend my space week?
Yeah. Bonjour. All right, talk hard out there, and we'll catch you next time.
Fuck.
All right, again, special thanks, Donald and Chaz, and a extra special thanks to you guys for listening out there. If you made it this far, you made it through a whole episode of us talking about an album that you'll probably never even hear, will probably never even hear. So, how's that for new uncharted territory here on the Holy Hour? So we'll just wrap up with the usual. Be sure to catch every episode by subscribing on the Apple Podcast feed, as we're also dropping oldies back in there. I'm trying to find time appropriate moments in the bye week to bring up some oldies, and I hope they're not crowding anything. I'll start flooding them in there. And eventually we'll get them all back in there, but you get an oldie, you get a new one. So be sure to subscribe on iTunes so none of them slip past you. And follow us on the Instagram at the Holy Hour Podcast. We'll catch updates on anything we are dropping in that feed or any other news or plans on the horizon. And follow each episode's thread specifically on the Facebook page where you can comment your thoughts on perhaps the Robert Smith solo album. Good idea? Bad idea? Any inside scoop that we missed maybe? So feel free to contribute there. And aside from that, let's see, just give me an email, direct email, gavinconnor@gmail.com. And if you want to just send me a message about anything, Cure related or not even, just drop me a line. I always love to hear from you guys. And on top of that, 17secondshirts.bigcartel.com is where you can find Chaz's Cure design t-shirts. Hopefully we'll get those back in action soon, but make sure you're following 17_seconds on Instagram so you'll be ready to pounce when the moment comes. And on top of that, just some cool stuff on the horizon. To be honest, I have no idea. We're winging it each week. Taking 1 week at a time, man. So I hope you guys are too. And everyone's still kicking, keeping safe, and keeping sane out there. We'll talk to you soon.